What is going on, people? Welcome to Slap Chat Live. This is actually pre-recorded because it's my day off and I want to go to Golden Corral. I won't lie to you. But this episode is actually brought to you by lots of gummies from Kabunki, also some concentrates from Kabunki, and a big-ass bag of weed. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started so I can go enjoy my day off and get to that Golden Corral soon. Got a few things to talk about. I know a lot of people are waiting to hear my thoughts on Power Slap 22. I can tell you right now, I was not very impressed. In fact, for the most part, it was very, very boring, with an exception of Darian the Tarantula. Great job, amazing comeback, bro. That was fucking crazy. Also, Lewis, fuck. I think a lot of people that were calling you midget before won't be calling you a midget now. They're looking at you as the fucking Goliath. Um, as well as Dumpling. Dumpling, very, very impressive. I thought Dumpling was going to lose to Zowls based on their history in the past. So those three guys definitely were standouts for Power Slap 22. Huge fuck yes to those guys, man. Amazing, amazing job. As far as the rest of you, not very impressed. And there was some people I like on the card. I like Peter. Peter did not have a good outing that night. There was a few others. Just not very impressive that night for that card. The audience wasn't huge. You know, um, and I get to that here at the end of the show. But I do want to jump into the first thing is women in this sport and chin tucking. I'm going to start calling it now the DeFrank move or the DeFake move based on Anthony Frank's previous outing where he tucked his chin. But now we got all the women doing it and stuff. And I'm not impressed with women in the sport for the most part. There's a few I like, and they're not even top dogs. Jackie Cataline definitely represents the sport well. I like Robin. Robin's amazing, fun person. But, I said it from the beginning and even before Power Slap. Women in this sport, it's been tested. It just doesn't sell. And by sell, I mean there's just not a huge fan base for women getting slapped. I know Dana White thinks he could sell it, make something of it, and they've made the past two events, uh, main events of the past two events outings of women, and it's just not impressive, man. I'm sorry, women in sports is great, but women in slapping is just not something people want to see. In particular, people that are fans of the sport, which are predominantly men. Most good men do not want to see a woman get slapped. Let's be real. Dana White, we know you have a history of slapping women and your wife and stuff, but not every man is a Dana White. So, and that's just based on my coverage and knowledge of the sport from his early days before Power Slap and when they tested women in the sport. Now, you can make it entertaining with women, but you're not going to do it with these small Barbie type models that they're using. Those are not the type of women that most men want to see get slapped. That's just what it comes down to. I'm going to call it like it is, man. Uh, but the women wanted a belt. They wanted a belt. And I asked people of this sport that follow this platform, was anybody impressed with the last two main events that had women? They wanted a belt, they got a belt, but fuck, at what cost? At the cost of the sport putting women up there? Women don't give a fuck about this sport. They just want a belt. They want to be a part of something, but fans are fucking walking away from it. It's just not a sport for women overall, man. I'm sorry, especially not a main event when you got people like Damien DeBell and Dorian Perez, and you're putting something as unentertaining as that as your main event instead of Dorian and Damien. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even a fan of Isaiah, but Isaiah's match was by far better than the Ellie Dumpster match. By far. So that should speak volumes to you if you listen to the fans and people that speak up for this sport. That somebody I don't like was more entertaining than the people you're trying to promote. Use Ellie Dumpster behind the mic. Use her, to try and promote the sport, but not in the sport. People are not into that, man. They're really not. Find a fan that says their number one fighter is Ellie Dumpster. That it wasn't an Ellie Dumpster follower before knowing about this sport. But, next thing about this that I do want to cover is when I talk about women tucking their chins and stuff. Robin, you were you were robbed, especially because you really put forth trying to be clean and stuff like that. And then you have somebody that set her chin, and as soon as they let go, she would constantly look down and reset her chin every round. Then she clubbed you, I heard. I have not seen the damage, but I heard she clubbed you, and you have verified that there is some damage. I haven't seen the pictures. Listen, this is just not a sport for women overall. There are some women that represent well, like I said, and I didn't mention them all. There is some others that I'm probably forgetting, and I don't mean to forget. But overall, this is a sport that men want to see knockouts and some damage. And any guy who's wanting to see a woman get damaged is not the fuck all there. So there you go. Now there's some other people that I'd like to talk about that have contributed to the sport. And again, women, I'm sorry if I'd offend you. I'm just speaking, my mind and based on what fans are telling me because I do speak to fans. But moving on, there's two people that have contributed to the sport quite a bit that I do want to talk about. Both of them announced retirements. One being Vernon Cathy, and the other being Robert Krish out of South Africa, Punisher Slap Fight. Now, both these guys have been around in the sport for a while now, and are very well known in the slap fight world. Whether no matter which promotion you're from, everybody knows both these guys. I will say I never got to meet Vernon Cathy. I got to speak to him in some emails. Not all of them were pleasant. I'm not gonna lie. But I respect the man. I respect what he's done for the sport. And I will tell you, Vernon is one tough motherfucker. He's done more than just slap fighting. If you don't know, he's got a background in other things. He's a tough dude, a good dad, takes care of his family. He's a hardworking guy, and he just still knows how to have fun. So I never got to catch up with him and meet him when he's out in Vegas because Vernon does not waste a fucking trip in Vegas. When he's out here, believe me, he utilizes every fucking minute of it. So I never got to meet him. And Robert, of course, I never got to meet. He's over in South Africa, although I've spoken with him, quite a bit, done a few interviews. But I do want to thank both these guys for what they've done for this sport. Both of them will go down in history as great names that, have contributed a lot to the sport, win or lose. And I honestly agree with both their decisions to retire. I spoke to Robert Bobby over in Punch the Slap Fight. And it's time to pass the torch. He has to retire by this year, anyways. He's turning 50, and in his country, you cannot compete after 50 years old in sports. So it was time for him to hang it up and pass the torch. I will be paying attention over there in that corner, see the future of Punisher Slap Fight and how that goes. It's going to be very, very interesting. And I was supposed to actually interview Bobby today, but my schedule just hasn't allowed me. Bobby, by the time you see this, I should have your interview by then. I do apologize for the delay. I've just been super busy between work and all this shit going on. And Vernon, there isn't a guy in the sport I don't think that doesn't respect you. Uh, you've earned your respect in the sport. Although we are not friends, anything like that, not enemies. You're a great dude for this sport, and what you've done for it is amazing. What you've done as a person is amazing. So I do want to thank you as well for what you have done for Power Slap. And how you represented it. You weren't like a square or anything like that. You knew how to have fun, but you knew how to have fun as a responsible person and help others when you were in the house. So thank you, Vernon, for your contribution for what you've done for slap fighting. Now, next thing, have we seen the last of Slap Fight Championship? I do not believe we've seen the last of it. I talked to JT Tilley today. There's very little I can release publicly, but I will say this. In my personal opinion, I anticipate seeing something from JT Tilley very, very soon. That's my personal opinion. That's not based on anything he has given me. This is just based on stuff I am hearing and what I believe the outcome will be based on what I'm hearing. So I do anticipate seeing JT Tilley very soon, definitely before October deadline for the Slap Fight or Slappy Awards. So with that said, that's just what's going around and what I believe to happen. Power Slap 22. Here's my review. Other than Dumpling, Lewis, and Darren, they were definitely standouts, and that would not have been an event if it weren't for them. Other than that, that event was very, very boring. There was a lot of fouls. I had a fan that's been with the sport for a while actually messaged me, and he thought it was very good. So, I mean, that's opinion based and stuff, but I will say there is some people out there who thought that was a good event. Maybe their fighter won or whatever. So all reviews I have heard, it goes both ways. My opinion, I was bored as shit with it. I actually, when the women's came on, I had trouble sitting through it because I knew I had a package sitting down there in the lobby that I had to go pick up. So with that said, that's my opinion on it. A lot of fouls. I will say this. The lack of experience with these new people definitely fucking shows. These people are coming up, they're fouling, stepping, just horrible fucking steps, man. Horrible. People like running almost when they hit so and step so bad they literally take off upon impact. It's just horrible. And the lack of experience is definitely showing. It shows that you guys you're desperate to fill cards over in other countries, and it's cheaper to grab their people over there than it is to fly some trained, experienced athletes out there. I get it, but it's not working, and it's showing. Fans are definitely speaking up. They're not impressed with this shit. We need to do something. You got to bring back these. Go back to Road to the Title. That's my opinion, man. I know it was costly, but look what it did for those guys who spent 2 weeks, 3 weeks training every day, as opposed to these guys you're picking up and giving 1 or 2 days, 3 days training, no training at all. It's not fucking working. You got to do something. You got to do something. Bring them out here to Vegas. Fly them out here for a week. You got to do something better than what you're doing. The lack of experience is fucking showing. And it's fans speaking up. Critics or athletes are speaking up at this point. You got your own favorite podcast who never says anything about you finally growing one nut between the two of them and starting to speak up. That's how bad it's getting. The lack of experience. Bring back Road to that Title, man. I don't get it. That was entertaining for true fans of the sport. We got to learn a little about these guys. And it drew people in. There may not have been a huge audience, but there was a loyal audience at least. You're losing that. You are losing your loyal audience trying to grow something that just is not growing like you are stating. And with that said, I do want to jump into your numbers that you talk about because I stated it before. If Power Slap is so big, if Power Slap is doing so well, then why are their arenas looking less and less full? Buying up these arenas and then giving them to celebrities and big names, filling them with that, and then saying, no, it was a scalper. Bullshit. You go over there in a country, where this is supposed to be huge and their arenas are not full, and you're trying to convince people this sport is growing. People are seeing it more, but doesn't mean it's growing. Just because they're seeing the clips does not mean it's growing. Ask your average person who's seen a clip who their favorite fighter is, and they don't know fighters' names still. So when you say the sport is huge and stuff, let's be real. The arenas are getting less and less packed. But if it is growing, I got a huge question I've been asking for almost a year now. If it's growing and so profitable, where are the Leaf Series 2 cards? Why is Leaf not even investing in it no more? What is going on? If it's that big, where is the Robert Trujillo cards? The Sheena Bathory's, the Wayne Crespos, who's not even competing in the sport, who signed the autographs for these cards. Where are those cards that we haven't seen if the sport is growing so big? Let's be real here. I would like an answer to that question, and maybe if you could jump over to your favorite podcast, your safe zone, if anybody can answer that question, Leaf 2 series card. I would still buy some. And there is some fans that still want the Robert Trujillo card. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Thank you guys for watching. I'm about to go hit the Golden Corral here soon. I do apologize that it wasn't live, but I did want to get something to you guys this week. And, man, we're more than halfway through the year, and I haven't missed a drop other than one time. I have been a day or two late. Other than 1 week, I've done a drop every week, so super proud of that. That said, if you like this, be sure to click the like. If you're not following, you need to be, and we will see you next week. Until then, you guys have a kick-ass day. Clip after clip, we hit that lane. Tiny little niche, I built that name. Every episode got a laugh and a spark. You throw a little shade, I turn it to art. You want my seat? Need a taller chair. You want my lane? Buddy, it's not there. I'm too far ahead, too locked in place. You're still buffering in second place. Look at you now, all out of steam. You brought a complaint, I brought a theme. Say what you want, still hear the crowd. My little podcast too damn proud.
came for the smoke, got roasted right. I'm waving goodbye with the grin so mean. My niche got a crown and you're not in the scene.